You are listening to Hilary Topper on Air, the small business podcast to help you grow both personally and professionally. And now, here's your host, Hilary Topper.
Welcome to Hilary Topper on Air, Season 11. I can't believe that this is Season 11. It's just crazy that we started this show back in 2011, and I really didn't know if I would continue. But here I am, still going strong. During the past 9 years, almost 10 years, I interviewed some incredible people like John Scully, who was the CEO of Pepsi and Apple Computers, David Finney, who is a famous winemaker, and Allie from The Biggest Loser. I've also had some really great topics to help you grow both professionally and personally. And some of the topics included food addiction, writing a memoir, past life regression, guardianships, what minerals can do for you, challenging your tax bill, starting hip hop art collection, and so much more. I've even interviewed some incredible people who have done amazing things, like one woman who ran half marathon in all 50 states. I even interviewed the fastest cyclist in the world. All of my guests have been inspiring and uplifting, and especially now during the COVID-19 era, when many of us have been spending a lot of time at home, I've got an eclectic group of interviews lined up. So if you've missed any of these, scroll down through my feed on hilarytopperonair.com and see what you missed. Season 11 is no different. We have incredible guests, and I know you won't want to miss a beat. Each episode is uplifting, and I would love to hear your feedback. Let me know what you think about the shows. I've decided that I'm going to break up the season by adding my 2 cents about topics. For instance, let's talk about COVID. Congratulations, New York City. We're finally getting our cases under control. But unfortunately, we don't live in a bubble. States like Florida, California, and Texas impact us. Many of us have family and connections to people all across the country. It's not like the Spanish flu in that we have become a society of movement. If this was a normal year, for example, I would be flying to Colorado, Florida, or even California at a drop of a hat. Everything has changed. And as I was sitting in my yard this weekend, I was thinking about going out and meeting people. And you know what? I'll stay put. I'll stay put for a while. I'll do my thing locally. However, a couple of weeks ago, during the height of the pandemic in Florida, I had to go down there. I didn't have much of a choice. My son was leaving his apartment. His job ended between his car being there and all of his stuff. I had to go there to help him pack up. So I did. Every morning, I would wake up and I would go out for a run. My son would say, "Be careful. No one wears masks." I didn't really believe him. How could that be with the numbers so high in that state? I went over to Lake Eola, which is right outside of his apartment, and I started to run. I love that run. It's one of my favorites. It's about a mile around the entire lake, and it's absolutely gorgeous. They pipe in music, there's interesting sculptures, and it's just a pleasant place to run. As I ran, I noticed that my son was right. No one wore masks, not even the elderly. It was as if nothing was up. When I run in New York, I bring a mask with me. If I see someone coming, I put it on and I move at least 10 feet out of the way. That wasn't the case at Lake Eola. I ran and people were actually coming closer to me without wearing a mask. It was scary. Don't worry, I couldn't handle it for too long and left the park to run in the street. It was so much safer that way. My son and my husband took the auto train home, and I rented a car and went down to see my dad in Boca. Believe me, I cleaned out everything. I rented a car from Enterprise Rent-A-Car and wiped it all down to make sure that it was disinfected. Now, let me tell you, I usually see my dad every couple of months, but the last time I saw him, I was moving him from independent living facility at Pacifica House at Forest Trace to assisted living at the same Pacifica House at Forest Trace. This happened in February. Then 2 weeks later, the place was on lockdown. That was a disaster. He kept falling and ended up in the hospital, and happened so many times. And the folks at Pacifica House at Forest Trace were leaving him alone in his apartment. They checked on him every few hours, but it really wasn't enough. Eventually, I hired some aides to help him, but he needed more time with the aides. When May came, I said to my brother, "We need to move him out of here. This is really getting bad." So we researched other places. One of the places, we were all set to move him in, and they ended up rejecting him because he was a fall risk. So we started to research a lot of other places. We weren't sure what to do. I mean, the whole thing was so crazy because I was with him at Butterfly World in January, and he was walking on his own. He was fine. He didn't even have a walker. Now he had a walker and was a fall risk. So we found another place for him. And without seeing it and without packing him up as I normally do, I let my brother handle it. We moved him to a home in Boca. since I never saw it, I wanted to see it for myself. So when I drove down from Orlando, I saw the home. It was gorgeous in a beautiful neighborhood with Maseratis in the driveways. I kept thinking of Moving On Up, the TV show that I used to watch back in the 70s. That was my dad, Moving On Up. Anyway, I'm thankful that I had the opportunity to see him and see the facility, even though I really wasn't able to go inside and look around. It was worth those few moments each day just to see him and make sure that he was okay. But while I was there in Florida was getting worse. Each day the cases kept rising. I was on eggshells. I wore an N95 mask and a face guard. I wore gloves and looked absolutely ridiculous, but I did not care. I refused to go inside anywhere for fear of contracting the virus. The planes scared me too. Before I sat down, I wiped everything down. If I didn't have to breathe, I would have held my breath the entire time that I was in the air for 3 hours. But that was a little impossible. Boca wasn't much better. Some people wore masks, others didn't. I went to the UPS store, for example, and both the guys that were standing there didn't wear a mask. It totally freaked me out. I wore mine. I stayed 10 feet back, but I felt very uncomfortable. At least the supermarket, most of the people were wearing masks. It was so cold in there that I don't even think the virus could have lived. It was so cold. But the entire time I was in Florida, besides going to the UPS and going to Publix to buy my dad a birthday cake and going to the public storage to throw out all of his belongings, I stayed outside. I didn't want to go inside my brother's house. I didn't want to go anywhere but outdoors. So now I'm back. I quarantined for 2 weeks, just like our governor wanted us to, and I took the COVID test. By the way, it wasn't that bad. I think a strep test is way worse. They put a cotton swab up my nose and it went so fast. It really was painless. I didn't even feel it really for the most part. As for the rest of the country, we are a divided mess. I've never seen it like this bad ever. The other day I was on Facebook and I saw a photo of a man eating an orange with his mask off. And the woman wrote a negative post about how dare he eat an orange on a public train. Maybe we're getting a little overboard. What do you think about going back to school? The last time I brought it up, it became a whole political thing. So I think I'll keep my opinions to myself here. I'm not going to lie though. I am a little bit nervous about going back to school and standing in front of the class. but I've got to trust where I work that the institution will do the right thing by the staff and by the students and really thoroughly clean everything out, including the filters. There are so many issues haunting us today as a society. I can spend all day talking about it, but I don't want to rant here. We need to accept the fact that COVID is here and it's not going away anytime soon. Hopefully, there'll be a vaccine, but even that scares me a bit. I mean, it takes years to develop these things, and here we are months away from our first vaccine. Will it work? Will it stop this virus from happening? I just wish that silly posts on Facebook would stop. You see them? They ask you if you know somebody who had the virus or died from COVID. The answer is yes to both for me, and that's the truth. I think as this pandemic gets out of hand, stupid questions like that will disappear on Facebook. There's so much negativity. We need to stop this right now. We need to appreciate what we have right at this moment, because we don't know if anyone we love will be around in 2021. So let's stop the negativity and live our lives to the fullest. That's what I plan to do. When I'm down because I can't go shopping, I'll turn it around and think, at least I'm saving money. When I'm down that I can't see my family and friends, I'll turn it around and think, at least they're doing okay. They're fine, they're healthy. We will get through this, and I hope that my podcast will help cheer you up or make you think or help you grow or help your business grow or help you grow personally to be the best person you can be. I'm grateful for my sponsors. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this podcast. Special thanks to the Russo Law Group. They are a leading elder law and estate planning firm, and they also deal with special needs, and they're located in Garden City and throughout Long Island. They're pretty big, and you should definitely call them if you have any issues. The Profit Express with Tim Healy. Tim has a great podcast specifically for small business owners. Check it out. I think you'll find it really interesting. He's a great host. Fortuna Fine Jewelry. They have incredible jewelry. I can totally attest to that. I've been a customer now for about 20 years, and everything I own, I cherish. You can't go wrong by buying something from Fortuna Fine Jewelry. They are reputable, and the owner, Esther Fortunoff, has an eye for beautiful jewelry. The Donna Drake Show is an incredible TV show that airs on Saturdays and throughout the internet. And you can catch her also on YouTube. Donna is an awesome person, and you'll hear her story on my podcast in season 11. And Pop International Galleries is located in Soho. They have gorgeous artwork. I love pop art, and I bought my first piece from them about almost 30 years ago. They represent a slew of incredible artists, and thankfully they are currently open, so you can stop by and say hi, and I'm sure you'll find something that you will love there. I also want to say that I really appreciate you. In addition to my appreciation for my sponsors, I really appreciate you, my listeners. Thank you so much for tuning in each week. And I know season 11 will be the best one yet. P.S. We will get through this together.